limits, man. Whoa. Okay, calm down.
What turned you into the activist and the performer that you are? Were you interested in politics and music at the same time? Did one follow the other?
Well, I mean, you also have to remember that as much as we inherit a lot of ideas from the defeats of generations that came before us, we are also products of our time. So the context in which I came of age was, of course, the war on terror, which entailed the dropping of, on average, 46 bombs per day. It entailed the killing of millions of people and the displacement of many millions more. And these were people that I felt I had an affinity with. And so in that situation where the state which governs you assumes a violent posture towards people that you feel are close to you, you really don't have much choice but to be politicized. It's the society that then politicizes you. It's not you that sort of has any choice in deciding to be a political animal, as it were. But also on top of that, when one looks to take it even further, and perhaps it could lead in to the showing of the ghosts of Grenfell.
So Grenfell Tower is a high rise where a fire broke out, totally avoidable. And it was 24 stories. It's in West London, and this happened June 14th, 2017.
When you understand that this tower is next door to me, that someone I'd known since he was 14 years old died in there with his entire family, including his little brother at the age of 4, that I saw all of that in front of me, that the cladding from the building was in my hair and all over my body. These situations in which people have been subject to what they call social murder right in front of your eyes. The fire at Grenfell Tower, for those that may not know, in the United States, was due to deregulation of the construction industry, which was a bipartisan orthodoxy of neoliberal necro-politics from Labour to the Conservative Party, led to a point where you had flammable cladding put on not only homes, but also hospitals, cinemas, schools across the country. But this particular building, Grenfell Tower, the fire there, which spread across the building at a really unnatural speed that went in different directions because of the polyethylene, which was in the center, the 5 millimeters of polyethylene in the center of the cladding, spread it across the building, and 72 people died. And as I say, those people were my neighbors. And so in a situation like that, you are definitely given a choice, really. Either you can see the ways in which invisible violence becomes visible and neoliberalism kills people. You can start to grapple with what neoliberalism has meant in a material way for people across the country and those around you. Or you can just try and shut your eyes. But, as I say, when the cladding is in your hair and people are screaming for their lives in front of you, you have the, if I wasn't radicalized by then, not only the fire at Grenfell, but the state rollout. You have to remember our political system is not one that can assimilate the social justice that would be required for us to see people held accountable for Grenfell. Our state is something that can actually deal with the careful management of social injustice, meaning that we were heavily surveilled as a community following the fire, meaning that much will come out about what the British state did to keep social order following this mass death which took place on our doorstep.
And where were you when this happened?
Directly outside the tower. Less than 100 meters from the tower. I was watching the 21st floor, where the Shuqair family were at the window calling down to us, and a helicopter was above our head. The helicopter flew towards them within what must have been 100 meters of the building and turned around. The people inside the building, and videos have come out, Facebook live videos where they're talking about tayara. They're talking about the plane, the helicopter. You know what was on those helicopters? Journalists who took pictures and the police. And the police did not make the live feed of what they were getting from the helicopter available to the fire brigade. We were watching as they called to us, and we were watching as they called to the helicopter, and the helicopter turned around in what was a truly excruciating moment. But something else that has been written out of the history of Grenfell is the case of Omega, who lives in a block next to the tower. Now, the dead body, I won't say the name of him, but it's a young man who jumped out of the tower from the 15th floor and died. His body was dragged into a neighboring block by the police and put in front of the door of this gentleman, Omega. Now, when Omega came out of his flat, he took a picture of the body and put it online. If he hadn't have done that, then the family of this young man who died wouldn't have known that he died. Now, what happened to Omega? Omega was contacted by a journalist and set up to be arrested. He served 3 months in prison for taking that picture. We were treated as criminals. The community was spied on, not the companies. When all is said and done, it will be seen that the community that went through this, that lost their neighbors, that lost their loved ones, were treated like criminals by the state more than the companies that caused this horrific fire and loss of life. So it would be great if you could play the song Ghost of Grenfell, because I think it would give people a better look at that horrific, horrific situation.
The night our eyes changed. Rooms where love was made and unmade in a flash of the night. Rooms where memories drowned in fumes of poison. Rooms where futures were planned and the imagination of children built castles in the sky. Rooms where both the extraordinary and the mundane were lived, become forever tortured graves of ash. Oh, you political class, so servile to corporate power.
The day that you're us, the day that you're us, the day that
Ghosts of Grenfell still calling for justice, not hear 'em scream.
the day that you're us, the day that you're us, the day that
This corporate manslaughter will haunt you, not hear 'em scream. Words cannot express, please allow me to begin though. 1:30 a.m, heard the shouting from my window. People crying in the street, watching the burning of their kinfolk. Grenfell Tower now, historically a symbol. People reaching from their windows, screaming for their lives, pleading with their cries, trying to reason with the skies. Dale youth birth champions. Comparison is clear though, that every single person in that building was a hero. So don't judge our tired eyes in these trying times, cause we've been breathing in cyanide the entire night. They say Yasin saw the fire and he ran inside. Who thought that would be the site where he and his family died? The street is like a graveyard, tombstone lurching over us. Those shouting out to their windows now wish they never woke them up. When hope your worst enemy to go in this position. Now it's flowers for the dead and printing posters for the missing. Come home, come home.
the day that you're us, the day that you're us, the day that
Ghosts of Grenfell still calling for justice, not hear 'em scream.
the day that you're us, the day that you're us, the day that
This corporate manslaughter will haunt you, not hear 'em scream. See trauma in the faces of all those that witness this, innocence in the faces of all those on the missing list. See hopes unfulfilled, ambitions never achieved. No, I'm not the only one that sees the dead in my dreams. Strive for the bravery of Yasin, artistic gift of Khadija. Every person a unique blessing to never be repeated. Strive for the loyalty of siblings that stay behind with their parents. Pray that every loved one lost can somehow make an appearance. We are like the last conversation with their dearest. Until we face what they face, we will never know what fear is. We are for survival survivors rehoused in the best place not to be left, sleeping in the West Way for 10 days. We're for arrests made and debts paid and true numbers known for the families who kept faith. We're for safety and homes of love. They are immortalized forever. The only ghosts are us. I wonder.
Did they die or us? Did they die or us? Did they die for
Ghosts of Grenfell still calling for justice. Now hear 'em scream.
Did they die or us? Did they die or us? Did they die for
This corporate manslaughter will haunt you. Now hear 'em scream.
قولولي وين اروح الناس تحترق بساعة السحور احس اني بعالم تاني احس اني بعالم تاني قولولي وين اروح ناس تحترق بساعة السحور احس اني بعالم تاني احس اني بعالم تاني
To whom it may concern, at the Queen's Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, where is Yassin al-Wahhabi? Where is his brother Mehdi? Where is his sister Nur Huda? Where is their mother? And where is their father?
Where is Noura Jamal? Where is her husband Hashim?
Where is their children? Yahya, Firdaus, and Yaqub.
Where is Nadia Lueda?
Where is Steve Power?
Where is Dennis Murphy? Where is Marco Gottardi?
Where is Gloria Trevisan?
Where is Amal and her daughter Amaya?
Where is Mohammed Nader?
Where is Al-Yawar Ja'fari? Where is Khadija Sayyid?
Where is Mary Mehdi?
Where is Mariam El-Gawahi?
Where is her mother Suar?
Tell us, where is Rania Ibrahim and her two daughters?
Jessica Ubano Ramirez?
Where is Deborah Lampral?
Where is Muhammad Al-Hajj Ali?
Where is Nadia? Where is her husband Basim?
Where are her daughters, Mina, Fatima, and Zainab, and their grandmother?
Where is Zainab Deen?
And her son Jeremiah.
Where is Ligaya? Where is Sheila?
Where is Muhammad Nur Tuku?
Where is Tony Dissa?
Where is Maria Baz?
Where is Fataya El-Sanusi?
Where is your son Abu Faras?
Daughter Ezra. Where is Lucas James?
Where is Farah Hamdan?
Where is Omar Belkadi?
Where is their daughter Lina?
Where is Hamid Khani?
Where is Hesham Rahman?
Where is Raymond Bernard?
Where is Isaac Powell? Where is Marjorie Vital?
And your son
Where is
Hani?
Komromiya?
Where is his wife Razi? Where are their children Abdul Hanif?
Abdul Hamid and Husna. Where are Sakina and Fatima?
Where is Burki Habtoum and her son Barouk? Tell us.
Where is Stefan Anthony Reynolds?
Where is Abdel Salam?
Where is Khadija Khalif?
Where is Karen Bernard?
Where are these people? Where are these people?
Where is Gary Maunders?
Where is Rahima Begum Ali?
Where is her 6-year-old daughter, Mariam?
Her 5-year-old daughter Hafiz?
And her 3-year-old son, Mohammed? God bless you all.
Where are these people? Where are these
There'll
people?
be ashes on your graves. Like a phoenix we will rise. The blood is on your hands. There'll be ashes on your graves. Like a phoenix we will rise.
Wow. That was very moving.
So, as they say, the corporation has no body to punish and no soul to condemn. And I think it's important that people remember that it was off the Kyoto agreements that these buildings were changed in this way, because the aim was to lower carbon emissions. But one needs to remember one thing, that when these buildings were wrapped in flammable cladding, the top shareholder in the company largely responsible for it, and in the case of Grenfell, was Arconic. This is the company which also built the F-35 fighter jet alongside BAE Systems and Lockheed Martin. The top shareholder in Arconic is BlackRock. Do you want to know who the top shareholder in Shell is? BlackRock. Yes. So the very same companies that profit from pushing us into climate disaster are lined up to be the very same companies that profit from the way in which we deal with it and we lower carbon emissions. And that's what Grenfell shows. And unfortunately, and I'll be honest with people here, Grenfell is one of the things that people talk about more than they thought about. Because if they did think about it, they would look seriously at the organizations involved and they would find ways in which those organizations could be pressured. What we needed post-Grenfell was a more confrontational stance vis-a-vis these companies. However, what happened with the British state was what kicked into shape was containment policies. And containment is not a kettle and a baton or a police shield shoved in your face. Containment is a friendly arm round the shoulder and a cup of tea. That is the way you de-escalate things in communities like mine. And you have to remember also that Ian Cobain put out a beautiful article about controlled spontaneity. And when we look at the way that controlled spontaneity in disaster situations functions, the civil contingency legislation, which was passed by the Blair government, the London Resilience Forum, which is based on controlling situations like Grenfell, avoiding 10 days of rioting like they had after the police killing of Mark Duggan. How did they avoid societal breakdown and riots post-Grenfell? Millions of people were heartbroken by Grenfell, yet no riots happened, yet no factories were shut down. It was only on the 4th year anniversary that Palestine Action took it upon themselves to shut down an Arconic factory. This is the type of action which actually forces the hands of the powerful, which applies pressure to the levers of power within society.